A baby was born with her heart outside of her chest. A year later, a real miracle happened. Hello, dear guests and viewers of our channel. Have a seat and get comfortable. And I hope you enjoy listening and viewing our stories. When a woman finds out she's pregnant, she often experiences one of the most beautiful moments in her life. A new life is growing inside her, and she begins to dream about the day when the baby will appear. But how will she react when the doctors tell her the awful news just 9 weeks before the birth? This story by Naomi Findlay and Dean Wilkins is about how they deal with this difficult situation. Naomi Findlay was already the mother of a beautiful baby boy when she received the happy news that she was pregnant again. It was an exciting prospect for a family who were ready to welcome another child into their lives. At the age of 31, family was all that mattered to her. She was a devoted housewife and mother. She couldn't even dream of a better life. That morning, when Naomi and Dean went to the doctor for a checkup and 9 weeks gestation, it was supposed to be a beautiful day, but it turned out to be a day full of sad news. The checkup revealed that the due date would have been Christmas Eve if the pregnancy was going well. The sad news was that the baby had been diagnosed with a rare condition called Ectopia Cordis. Scans showed that the baby's heart and part of the stomach were growing outside the body, and the sternum hadn't developed in the early stages of pregnancy. This news would have been shocking and difficult for any parent. The doctors felt that they had to be brutally honest with the parents and told them that the little girl had no chance of surviving outside the womb. And there was almost only one way to deal with the situation. The parents were advised to terminate the pregnancy as soon as possible. When parents are faced with such a restrictive scenario and have to make such a difficult decision, the hospital offers counseling services. In Naomi and Dean's case, it was suggested that they work through their feelings and then terminate the pregnancy according to medical experts. Naomi and Dean decided to read up on the condition, but it was difficult to look at pictures of babies born with Ectopia Cordis. The burden of the decision fell on both parents, and neither of them knew what to do. Although Naomi was told that the chances of her little girl surviving were 0, she couldn't bring herself to terminate the pregnancy and decided that if there was something wrong, her body would terminate the pregnancy on its own. She would leave the decision to nature and accept the outcome. As the delivery day approached, the parents might have wondered if they had made the right decision. They were expecting a baby with a serious condition, and the prognosis was that the baby would die soon after birth. How they would cope with the loss on the one hand, and on the other hand, what their life would be like if the baby survived against all odds, and how it would affect the rest of the family. They knew one thing for sure: this little girl would change their lives forever. With all the information available to them, the medical staff made the decision to deliver her prematurely. On November 22, 2017, she was born by cesarean section in the hospital and was taken to the operating theater within minutes of birth. Every minute counted. Naomi was terrified. Among other things, she was afraid that she would be allowed to hold her baby in her arms after the birth. The reunion itself would have hurt her. She had carried this child in her womb for 8 months and loved it despite the prospect of death. All she could do was cling to the hope that she would be able to have one of the most beautiful babies of her life. One of the most lovely sounds Naomi had ever heard was her little girl crying on the day she was born. The fact that she cried continuously for at least 20 minutes was like music to her parents' ears. It made them happy and moved them to tears when they heard that their little girl was struggling to survive. The next months remained a struggle between life and death. Doctors had to perform a series of complicated operations, and each one of them could have endangered her life. Little Vanellope was treated in hospital for the first 3 months of her life. Thanks to the experience of the doctors there, she had the best chances of survival. 3 operations had to be performed to put her heart back into her body, and against all odds, she survived them all. However, her sternum was still open, putting her fragile heart at risk. After 3 months, the girl was well enough to be transferred to the pediatric intensive care unit, and her parents could now hope for her to recover. Naomi and Dean had to keep hoping and holding on. The doctors gave no chance of survival outside the womb. After birth, they increased the chances to about 10%, but in the end, she survived. When choosing a name for a baby, people rarely choose a Disney character. Baby Vanellope Wilkins was named after a character from the animation Wreck-It Ralph, who was very willful and brave and turned into a princess at the end of the cartoon. Naomi and Dean thought the name was perfect for their daughter. Her heart was very sensitive, and the orthopedic unit had to make special protection for her chest. Physiotherapists and nurses also had to work with her. She's the first child in the UK to be born with such a condition and to survive the struggle. Her fighting spirit has certainly made history, but the biggest surprise was yet to come. Just over a year after her birth, the family was finally allowed to take their baby girl home, after which the normal part of their lives began. They had to arrange round-the-clock care, which was provided by 7 different medical workers, and even took turns being on duty at night. The family home became a kind of care unit where the child stayed in between hospital visits. It's far from an easy process, but for Naomi and Dean, it's the path they have to follow. The best strategy to cope with the future is to live from day to day and to take things as they come. For them, family is the most important thing, and the goal is for the baby to become friends with his older brother and live a normal life as much as possible. Naomi's mother has dedicated her life to raising her children. Taking care of Vanellope is a full-time job. The next step in her life's journey was for the doctors to create a mesh to protect Vanellope's heart. Her best chance of survival will be a protected heart, so the family will never stop hoping for a medical miracle. After all, Vanellope has already gone through a rough patch for her health, so there's nothing stopping her from doing it again. What would you do if the doctors didn't give your unborn baby any chance of survival outside the womb? Tell us in the comments section below. And with that, we'll see you soon. Thank you for listening to the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Also, click on the bell icon so you don't miss any new videos. All the best.